Hey, welcome back to the show, folks. This is your host, Ryan Kennedy, and today's episode is all about back pain. I'm going to keep it short and sweet and to the point, but back pain is a major issue for a lot of people. I mean, the research shows upwards of 80%, 80% of people suffer from back pain at some point in their lives. And oftentimes this back pain is chronic, where they're in chronic pain from the morning they wake up to the moment they go to sleep. And many folks are resorting to using pharmaceutical drugs and these different analgesic, pharmaceuticals that are extraordinarily dangerous to our long-term health. A lot of them are hard on the liver. A lot of them have a high propensity for addiction and habit formation with the use of these certain drugs. And it's really the opioid crisis that has caused so many premature deaths in our country from folks who are just in pain, were prescribed these medications from well-meaning physicians for the most part, and then became addicted, and it literally took their lives. So I'm really passionate about helping people get out of physical pain. There's a lot of types of pain. There's mental and emotional pain from, tough relationships, losing loved ones, past trauma, a lot of things that could cause pain in our lives. But when you're dealing with physical pain, such as chronic back pain, maybe your joints hurt all the time, you have arthritis, you have maybe inflammation in your neck. A lot of folks suffer from these challenges, and really breaks my heart because it's hard to live a good life and be happy if you feel lousy all the time and you're in pain. So I'm going to talk about back pain today specifically, but many of these principles will apply to whatever type of physical pain you have, whatever type of inflammatory issue that's causing your pain. These things will help. So the first thing is to identify the root cause. Don't mask it with anti-inflammatory drugs or pain relieving medications, because while in the short term that can help you get to a better place, and they can be very helpful when used responsibly, used appropriately, they're not going to help. Your body doesn't have a deficiency in these drugs. You want to figure out what's causing the pain rather than putting a band-aid and trying to mask the symptom. And the number one root cause of back pain is muscle deconditioning, atrophy of the muscle in your back. Most people think that their back pain is caused by, I don't know what a lot of people think, to be honest, but the reality is when your back muscles lack the strength and stability to support you properly, you develop this wear and tear on the ligaments and the vertebrae. And this increases your susceptibility to poor posture, increases your susceptibility to physical injury, and creates the environment for you to develop inflammatory imbalances in your structural muscle and just the structural alignment in your back. So most people think, like, they assume working your back out, working your back muscles with things like deadlifts, pull-ups, whatever it is, leads to back pain. But if you're doing the exercises right, you're using the correct form, you're not overloading the weight, it's the exact opposite. By strengthening the muscles in your back and in your core. That's another thing, is core deconditioning leads to a lot of back pain, because the muscles in our abdominal section in our core are responsible for keeping good posture, making sure you're not hunched over, making sure that you're actually supporting the structure of your spine properly. And so strengthening is a huge component of this. And if you're already in back pain, this needs to be done under the guidance of an expert, someone that's really well-versed in biomechanics, physical therapy, maybe a really good personal trainer who can coach you through the right exercises, the right range of motion, how to do these things without making the matter worse while supporting and strengthening the areas. The other thing that can happen is the discs between our vertebrae can start to become very dysfunctional, can start to have a lot of different issues, bulging discs, they can have just stress on the disc. And sometimes you need a proper physical adjustment. So in addition to strengthening, one of the things I'm a huge proponent of is good chiropractic care. One of my good buddies is a chiropractic doc. Shout out to Dr. Brandon. He comes over to the house, adjusts me, adjusts Ashley, and I don't have chronic pain. She doesn't have chronic pain, but I see the value in aligning your vertebrae and actually adjusting the bones in your back to keep you from having pain as a preventative measure. But especially if you already have a structural misalignment, you need to get that corrected in conjunction with the resistance training, the strength training, or else it's not going to get to the root cause. The other thing that can be very helpful is movement in general. keeping the body in motion. It's the chronic sitting, the chronic stagnation that leads to a lot of these inflammatory issues. So if you're sitting on your ass all day, I would be surprised if you didn't have back pain. And if you're moving, you create more laxicity in the joint, and you create more blood flow. So for the better delivery of nutrients, you create an environment where inflammation is less susceptible in your back and in other parts of your body too. So much of the chronic back pain people can suffer from can really be resolved naturally. Flexibility work is another thing I want to add to this list that's very, very helpful. Flexibility work, meaning doing some stretches, like just stretching out the ligaments, tendons, muscles, and the overall body, so that you can reverse some of the damage and tightness that's caused from sitting all day. Because the reality is a lot of us work on a computer, or we work in an environment that requires us to sit. And even if you have like a stand-up desk, you're still stationary. So that can cause a lot of issues. So the one resource I love that is like the Bible for human biomechanics is Kelly Starrett's book, Supple Leper, Becoming a Supple Leper. This is a really cool book because it has a lot of images and graphics. It's a really dense read, but you could use it like an encyclopedia where you could search for your specific issue, identify the chapter or the area of his book where those things are gone through, and he goes through a lot of different things. In addition to strength training, chiropractic adjustments, and stretching and flexibility work, I love doing some myofascial release, some foam rolling, or using like a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball to really get in and break up some of this fascia. Fascia is essentially this tissue that wraps around our whole body, almost like saran wrap. And when we don't move properly, this fascia starts to become very tight. It starts to really knot up. And by using some sort of physical type of massage, or a replica of a massage, by using like I said, a foam roller, a lacrosse ball, there's a lot of different devices you could use to bring in some physical, essentially release. It starts to break up those fascial tightness and release this fascia, which is really, really helpful to bring mobility, to bring functionality back to certain parts of the body, the back especially. So that's really, really helpful. And then couple more things I'll touch on. One is your sleeping position and your sleeping environments. Invest in a good mattress, folks. Like, you spend a third of your life on it. And I understand not everyone has the financial means to go buy one of these super fancy, like $10,000 mattresses. I get that. But don't try and skimp on your mattress and then go. I see so many people spending money on things they probably shouldn't be, like going out for drinks and fancy restaurants and all these different things that aren't really serving them in their lives. And then when it comes to like spending $1,500 or $2,000 on a really good quality mattress that's going to last them 8, 10, 12 years, and they'll spend a third of their time on that mattress, they're like, oh no, that's too expensive. I'm going to get the cheap piece of shit mattress. I'm like, dude, that doesn't make any sense. Get your priorities straight. So invest in a good mattress. And then sleeping position is not something that I have time to go through in this episode, but that's also very important. Make sure that you aren't doing all the right things during the day only to create the problem and amplify the problem every night while you go to sleep. That's obviously going to be a hard hill to climb, because you're undoing the progress you made during the day at night when you're sleeping in a poor position or on a poor mattress. So that's really going to be important. And then the last thing I'll touch on, a couple last things actually, one of which is chemical imbalances. So pay close attention to nutrition. A lot of times nutrition is at the core of these inflammatory issues like back pain. I especially see that with arthritic conditions. People that have arthritis almost always can be reversed with proper diet by removing the inflammatory triggers like the grains, all these conventional wheat-based products, the rancid, oxidized, inflammatory fats, your vegetable oils, as well as a high sugar intake. All these things contribute to that inflammatory load and cause chronic physical pain. So get that shit out of your diet and start eating good foods, and it's going to make a massive difference in the right direction. The other thing you can consider in conjunction with your nutrition is targeted supplementation, bringing in really good anti-inflammatory supplements to augment your food intake to help lower the inflammation. And I'll do a whole episode on my favorite anti-inflammatory supplements another time, but there are a number of very good products that can be very helpful for people. But I want to say this first: if you not change your diet and you go buy all these freaking supplements, it's not going to help. It might help marginally, but it's not going to get to the crux of the problem. If the foods that you're eating are causing the inflammation, you cannot supplement your way out of a shitty diet. That's the bottom line. Now on to the last thing. I'm a huge fan of infrared light therapy as a way to reduce inflammation. Near infrared light, the right nanometer wavelengths, can really help to quell that inflammatory response and massively reduce pain, as well as massively improve many other aspects of your health and improve blood flow to the area for nutrient delivery and help reduce scar tissue buildup and help with all these things. It's freaking miraculous shit, guys. The best source of near infrared light is absolutely free. It's the sun, baby. Lay out on your stomach midday for 10 or 15 minutes and let that sun hit you in the back. Take off your shirt. Obviously ladies out there, do so in a area where it's private and you have some privacy to do this, or wear sports bra or something like that, to where you can get sun on your skin, on the areas of your body that are in pain. And the sun will literally help to quell that inflammation, stimulate those mitochondria, and support the healing process in the part of your body that's injured or chronically inflamed rather. Super, super helpful. Then as a more targeted therapy with the light, I really like a device called a MedLight Pro. It's very cost effective. It's like $150 or so. And it's this device that you buy that you apply to the area of your body that has chronic pain. It's a 4-minute treatment cycle, and it's hitting it with about 680 nanometer wavelength red light, which is causing a very powerful anti-inflammatory healing response wherever you use it. So you could use it on your neck, you could use it on your back, you could use it on your joints. Like I've had a lot of people I've worked with, multiple people with chronic shoulder injuries, chronic knee injuries, chronic hip injuries, use this MedLight Pro, this $150 device, and get so much improvement and so much healing. They canceled their surgery. They ended up getting either 80 or 90% better or 100% better in terms of their pain and dysfunction in the part of their body they were suffering with. And I've seen this thing work freaking miracles. And it's very inexpensive. It's very safe. There's really no downsides to using it. And so I will put the link to that in the show notes. I don't have any affiliation with this company. I've just used this product myself for years and years. I've been recommending it to people I work with in my practice for years and years as a way to help reduce chronic pain and support the healing process. So I think it's a really cool tool to have around. And if you buy one, you use it, it helps. You could also lend it out to friends and family and people in your life where you're like, hey, try out this cool red light therapy device. It might help you feel better. It might help you reduce your pain. And that is a very valuable gift to give to anyone. I hope you found the tips in this episode to be helpful. I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you found it helpful, please share it along to anyone else you believe it can serve. You can submit your own question to be answered on the show by going to ryankennedyhealth.com/podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review for the show. Your feedback helps to support me on my mission to positively impact as many people as possible with this information. Please note, the information depicted in this episode is purely for informational purposes only. Please consult your healthcare professional before making any changes to your lifestyle or routine.